everyone, this is Anna from Savvy Cat Realty, and today I am here to talk to you about the outer center of Lisbon. It's been a while since we released a video about Lisbon because I was lazy to film Lisbon. So today I'm going to give you a summary of this outer center of Lisbon that, in my opinion, can be the best areas to live in Lisbon, if you can afford them, of course. So for those of you who don't know, Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps you relocate and buy or rent property in Portugal. We are a team of locals that works from a lifestyle perspective, trying to figure out what fits right for your own personal goals and lifestyle, and we work in the whole country. So going back to today's topic, Lisbon and the outer center of Lisbon. I will be talking about the Lisbon outer center, which consists of going from left to right, Alcântara, then Campo de Ourique, then Alvalade, and down for that you have Avenidas Novas, then you have the Olaias and Bela Vista area, and at the end you have Picoas, Marvila, and Braço de Prata areas in the outer Lisbon center circle. So these areas are still central, but not the historic center. Alcântara is the first area, the first neighborhood on the outer side of Lisbon. It has river view and it's close to the Ponte 25 de Abril, which is the 25th of April bridge. It's a bit of a mixed bag area regarding the development in the neighborhood itself. You have some really nice new condominiums, even luxury ones, some commerce, a private hospital, and some really nice areas. And even the LX factory, which is a very popular cultural area with lots of unique stores, restaurants, and bars. But then you also have some not so good neighborhoods and still a lot of things that need renovation. So it's very much a mixed bag. On the other hand, you do not have subway here. You do have train and pretty decent accesses by car. Regarding prices, it's not the most expensive area, but it's not cheap either. Like I said, it being a mixed bag, you have a bit of both things. So you can find things between 4,000 and 9,000 euros per square meter. In Campo de Ourique and Jardim da Estrela area, so this is the left side of the city. To give you a start, this area is a fairly flat area of Lisbon. If you go towards the city center, the historic center of Lisbon, people often complain that it's the city of the seven hills with a lot of up and down and very good exercise for your legs. But in these outer regions, you have some much flatter areas, and Campo de Ourique is one of them. Campo de Ourique is a bit of a mix of older buildings. You have some renovations. You still have some things to renovate. You have a lot smaller buildings, let's say that have like 2 apartments per floor and not that many big buildings. The streets are the standard size, so that you can go cars on two ways, but generally just one lane each way, although you have some which are a bit larger. As all of Lisbon, you do tend to have large sidewalks, and it is a nice area where you will have some gardens, you have a lovely market area, and you have a lot of local commerce and some restaurants and stores and so on. So it's a very pleasant area to live in. They are also currently making plans to do some new metro, some new subway there. So you can expect some more rising and some bigger evaluation price-wise of this location. Price-wise, you can look at somewhere between 5.4 thousand to 9,000 per square meter, depending on the state and location of the building. So, and the apartment, of course. So if you are looking at something that is a bit older and in need of some renovation, it will probably be on the lower end. And if you are looking at something newly built, it's going to be very likely to be on the higher end. So overall, the average prices in Lisbon right now are considered to be 6,000 per square meter. And this is, of course, considering both ends of the scale. So the cheap things and bad areas and the more expensive areas. But like I was saying, if you are going to want some better quality, newer things, it's going to be on the higher end. So as Portuguese and from a Portuguese perspective, these prices are quite high. So I would say that living in the center of Lisbon, like I said, this is still center, just outer center. It's not for everyone. You do have to be able to afford it. Rent-wise, the rent prices in Lisbon are also quite high. And in this area, it once again depends a lot on what you are looking at. But for a 2-bedroom, you will be looking between, if you're lucky, 1,200, more likely 1,500 to 2,500 to rent a 2-bedroom in this area. So the next area after this would be Amoreiras. It's still considered kind of part of this. In Amoreiras, you have a shopping mall, so you can walk there from Campo de Ourique. It probably will be like 15 minutes depending, 10-15 minutes depending on where you are. All Portuguese cities, and especially Lisbon, are very walkable. And all these locations are very easy to get on public transportation. Like I said, this area is expanding when it comes to metro, but you do have bus line. And in most of Lisbon, it's pretty easy to get anywhere in the greater Lisbon using public transportation, and often easier than driving because it's a pain to find parking and generally very expensive, at least for us Portuguese. In these areas, it's often something like 2 euros, like 2 euros per hour for parking, which for us sucks, okay? We are cheap. So the next area after this is Alvalade. And Alvalade is one of the highly recommended area for my Lisbon agent, Graciosa. She says it's a kind of place where you can live without ever just leaving the neighborhood. You have everything there. We'll have lots of great restaurants and local stores, a bit of everything. You also have a market there. There's a lot of schools, so it's a great area for families. And you also have a lot of renovated and spacious houses, because that's one of the interesting things. Most of the more modern houses tend to be have worse sizes when it comes to space, so they tend to be a bit narrower and smaller. And I suppose that's also because costs and efficiency, so you want to put more apartments in less space. But a lot of the older property will have great areas, and a lot of it will be renovated, so it can be a great balance. So in this area, you have a bit of everything, and you even have some areas that have villas, although they are just like 1 or 2 blocks. And it's really, really a great area to live in. When I come to Lisbon, my family owns a building in the Roma area, which is just on the outer of the Alvalade. And it really is great. I can walk everywhere. There's malls, there's the Rome Avenue, has a bit of everything. There's a theater. Like I said, there's schools. There's a primary school just like 5 minutes away from my apartment block. There's lots of green areas too. For example, our apartment area, it has some gardens in between each building rows. You also have the train station that can take you to the outer skirts and a lot of different places in Lisbon. For example, it's super fast to go from there to the Orient Vasco da Gama area. It's just a few stops by train and quite a fast trip. So it really, really is a great place to live in. without even having to have a car. I literally just want to leave my car there and go everywhere on public transport, so I don't have to worry about parking. It is a pain to park because there is generally no, some of the newer buildings do have garages, but in these areas, a lot of the buildings don't have the garages, and you will have to get like a parking permit from the town hall, just saying that you are local, and this costs 10 euros, which is not bad. And you just have to leave it on your car and park, and it will allow you to stay in that area without paying for parking, but it's just specific to each area. So do keep that in mind. So in the Roma Areeiro area, we were all looking at similar prices from the Alvalade. So like I said, it's on the limit. And right after Roma, you have Areeiro. So they are separated by the train line. To one side it's Roma, to other side it's train line of the train line is Areeiro. Areeiro is slightly cheaper neighborhood. There are some social neighborhoods in that area, but it's still a fairly good area. You have a bit of mix of everything. And there's also some nice gardens on this side. Areeiro is between 3.5 thousand to 6.2 thousand. So it gives you an idea. And like I said, these are all in a row from each other in the outer of Lisbon. So we started on Campo de Ourique, then Alvalade, now Roma and Areeiro, and then we are going to the Avenidas Novas. That takes a bit of the lower side too. And Avenidas Novas is once again pretty walkable. I would say Avenidas Novas starts from the Campo Pequeno area, where you have the arena for events and also a bunch of restaurants around. And from this area, you start having the side streets with trees on the middle, which I love. And then you have the main avenues, which is why it is called Avenidas Nova, which basically means new avenues, which are very large avenues, generally with a separation in the middle with some trees, and the two ways completely separated from each other, and a lot of commerce on the side. There's also some shopping areas like the Saldanha shopping and lots of hotels in this area too. And there is a lot of renovated buildings, which make it extremely popular with foreigners because you get the best of both worlds. You get the beautiful you get beautiful outside with high ceilings and beautiful architectural details and artistic details. And you get the new finishings and everything that you need for your comfort inside, which is also why it makes it one of the most expensive areas. So Avenidas Novas can englobate a bit of a large area from the Campo Pequeno until the Gulbenkian and the Alc&acirc area. Alc&acirc is yet another mall area. If you don't know, if you've never been, it's kind of an open shopping mall where the stores are not separated by walls or a street. That you can just kind of walk past everything. And Alc&acirc area is probably one of the most expensive ones. And then it goes all the way down to Marquês de Pombal, which is a big roundabout in Lisbon. So, and considering all these areas, the prices we'll find will be between 4,500 to 10,000 per square meter. And once again, this depends, newer, older, needing renovations, and so on and so forth. And once again, this is can be one of the quite expensive areas in Lisbon, but it's also a very nice and comfortable, well located. So if you can afford it, I highly do recommend it. Okay, so after this, if you go towards the right, you will find the Olaias and Bela Vista area. This area is a bit of a mixed lot because you have a really, really great view of Lisbon, but you also have a lot of neighborhoods that are not so pleasant with a lot of low-income immigration and and it can be a bit of social neighborhoods too. So you have a bit of a mixed lot in this area, and because of that, the prices are also a bit lower. As you can imagine, there is also a lot more things needing renovation in this area. So it can be definitely a very interesting location for investment, because it's more than certain that the prices will rise. And as it happens in all the big cities, the commercial need will push lower income people outside. Whether that's good or not, it's generally a fact that tends to happen. And so in this area, you can expect prices from 2,700 to about 3,800 per square meter. As you can see, this is a lot lower than most locations in Lisbon. So once again, pretty good for investment. There isn't as much new buildings in this area. It's a bit more run down. It can be a bit dirtier and a lot of older things, which also once again reflects on the price. So if you are in the budget, it can be a place to consider, but it's, as locals, we definitely would say that it's not the best area in Lisbon and not the safest one either. So do proceed with caution. But although from an investment perspective, it's very, very likely that the prices will rise, as you can see compared to the other similarly locations in Lisbon, they are about a lot lower. So we have prices between 3,000 and 4,000 compared to like 5,000 to 10,000. So definitely an interesting location from an investment perspective. On the other end of the outer Lisbon center region, you have the Picoas, Marvila, and Braço de Prata areas, which are all riverside and riverview areas that have been actually development recently, but are still fairly affordable. There is no metro in this region. There is, however, train. And you have a bit of everything, really. You have the Braço de Prata region, which is mostly new developments, and you can literally walk to the Parque das Nações area. You have a beautiful river view with a very modern riverfront with lots of gardens and green areas, and even some cultural locations like the Fábrica de Braço de Prata, which used to be a bullet manufacturing factory and was turned into a cultural center. Then next to this, you have Marvila, which is a bit more up, and it's a single family region where you have lots of villas and townhouses with a river view, and it's kind of like a new oasis in the middle of Lisbon that you don't even feel like you are in the center of Lisbon, although it's technically still in the center of Lisbon. And then at the end, you have Picoas, where you have this region with a lot of commercial areas. It used to be a lot of factories. You still have the port, the commercial port in that area, but you also have a lot of restaurants, breweries, and night areas, very interesting concept stores, art galleries, and also some interesting residential developments. So it can definitely be a very interesting area to look at. And surprisingly, you can find prices between 3,000 euros per square meter and 7,000 euros per square meter in this region. So it's not too bad at all for the outer center of Lisbon. And there is still some very interesting development and investment opportunities. So this more or less covers the outer center of Lisbon. Like I said, counting the historic center out, it goes the wheel right after it, which is technically just still the center of Lisbon and great areas to live in. If you've been in Lisbon and been in these areas, do let me know and give me your feedback. What was your favorite area? And how it is to live there or just visit there. If you are interested in moving to Lisbon, we can help you. The local agent is Graciosa, and she is someone very attentive and someone also used to work with renovations, and we will help you with all of that. as once again we are a team of locals and we will give you all the support from the inside and know all the ins and outs of legality and bureaucracy so you can make your journey to living in Portugal as smooth as possible. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you all again next week as we post here every week. Feel free to like and subscribe and if you find this content useful, and hopefully I will see you all next week. Bye.